his head.
This is what I didn't focus on the milk. I focused on the fact that he sits down in Moss's space, sits on the couch where Moss sits, looks at the TV that Moss looks at, and tried to figure out what he would do next.
Visual storytelling, guys.
Wow, there's
the best.
so much. There's so much
the
there.
best.
We could do a whole analysis on just that scene.
Here's another thing that made me mad, though. Shiger goes, after he sits on the couch, he goes and talks to the trailer park manager. Who's kind of a badass lady, actually.
Yeah.
And she tells him to take a hike.
Yeah.
And she would have got killed if that toilet didn't flush.
Right.
But anyway,
But
later on, the cops come, and they don't have a description of Shiger. They don't know what he looks like. They don't know who they're chasing. They say as much out loud.
Right.
But they don't go and talk to that same lady.
Yeah, you're right.
The hell? Of course they would.
That's weird.
That's dumb.
I think there's definitely
Plot
a
hole.
little bit of weakness in this movie in terms of like there's a mass murderer on the loose in Texas, and like there's not really a great cop response. Like if there was a guy going around killing like 20, like killing several people every day.
I think a big maybe part of that is the fact that they're in like a really rural part of Texas.
For sure.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know how many people are getting murdered with like execution style.
It does seem like a lot of it's a big body count to just kind of ignore.
Especially when one of them's a cop. That seems like it would demand a bigger reaction because the first person he kills in the movie is a cop,
right?
And like, it's just like we're gonna send sheriff and his doofus deputy after them.
But I don't know. I feel like maybe there is also an element of like it is still sort of the Wild West. Like,
oh, for sure.
Okay, this is just like one cop. Like these towns have like maybe one or two cops,
and
like,
it totally fits
but, like,
this movie. It would be so weird if like all of a sudden there was like an FBI squad over and like a bunch of people chasing them. It would just be a different thing. I totally agree.
The movie's mood, I think, depends on there being this sort of like barren, desolate feel, and part of that is they're not.
Well, yeah, and as soon as you include other people, the head-to-head of Shiger and Bell kind of loses its weight. And I love the way that this movie takes the time to kind of give these like mirror images of both of them. Like they'll be like we were talking about the milk scene where Shiger's on Moss's couch and you get the shot of the TV with the reflection of Shiger, and it's just like the TV's almost entirely black except the window tightly framing him, and you get a very similar shot, but there's like more light around Tommy Lee Jones, and they kind of do that shot. Or
I think they probably do that to make the characters interact in a way.
I agree, and I think it's like part for that, part for like reminding the audience like on a subvertive level of like these are the two people that are kind of coming head to head, at least like in ideology, and I appreciate that the movie does that, where like when you watch it, the more you watch it, the more you're like, these are the pause moments, the breath moments to think about how chaos and order are meeting.
Oh yeah,
that first kill though, when he kills the cop with the handcuffs at the beginning of the movie. So I have a kid. She's like what, 15, 16 months old, and she's a slug, so I just watch and listen to whatever
she's a slug.
Whatever content I want to. Like, she doesn't know swearing. She's, like, adult themes just go like whoop right through her. Like, kids don't process those kinds of things they don't understand. But this movie, she was like, kind of getting drunk, falling asleep around her bedtime, and we were watching this movie, and it was the first time that she got scared.
Oh,
because it's a very visceral scene where he's got back mount, he's on the back, lying on his back, choking this other guy.
The scary face.
The scuffs from his shoes on the ground after. And anyway, it's just this crazy struggle with crazy facial expressions. And it was the first time that the baby was like, ah, and I was like, oh,
can't watch these movies anymore.
Gonna get so annoying.
Wait, you're letting your baby watch like ultraviolet movies?
She doesn't get it now, man.
Well, I don't know.
Like, her favorite music video is WAP. She's like, look at all the colors.
I don't know, man. That might. But careful.
What I'm saying is, it's changing now, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Soon I'm gonna have to stop swearing and stuff. It's gonna be stupid.
Jeez. Can't swear at home. It's not a home.
Is that possible to raise a child to be like, you can swear, but know when you can?
Well,
I think lots of people do that. Like, you just swear around, and you're like, I'm allowed to swear. You're not allowed to swear. You're going to swear because all kids swear, but you're supposed to know that you can only swear around your friends and you don't swear around adults. And that's actually a lesson in of itself.
I think, you can absolutely frame it as a lesson, but I wouldn't want to have the rule of I can swear, but you can't swear. I feel like that's just going to breed resentment, wouldn't it?
Do you think Shiger lets his kids swear?
He has no kids. He eats them.
He would eat them. Hey, I want to get this definitively. It's like he kills Carla Jean.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Of course.
It's just it's only implied by him checking his shoes.
Yeah.
But what the hell does that even mean?
No,
He's
that's-
leaving the house.
Well,
Well, he
that's-
just doesn't want to track her blood around
yeah,
with him.
he's gotten out of the house, and now I don't know, the lighting's dim in there. I don't know. That's it. That makes sense to me, and I think that is a great indicator as to what happened, because earlier in the movie we see him checking his boots. We see him taking off his boots before he goes in and kills all those Mexicans in the room,
Oh, I love that.
and then removes his bloody socks or whatever. And then later, after he kills Carson Wells, the blood is seeping over the floor, and he just like calmly like moves his boots up onto the bed so that he doesn't get blood on his boots. Yeah,
What do you-
it's a great little indicator.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Carson Wells?
I think he was cool and then did nothing. He like
Yeah.
shows up, they
Yeah.
like introduce him like, sweet, this guy's in the mix
But
now,
I thought
and then
so,
it just
so you didn't like that?
yeah, I didn't like
I
that.
just don't think they utilize him properly, because I think having the idea of like a third party totally changing the dynamic is great, and I think it'd be cool for like third act stuff, like
Yeah.
this unknown element that we don't fully understand. But yeah, he just gets killed pretty easily, and it's like a good moment for making Anton Chigurh seem more scary. But
I think that the way they used him was so tight and consistent with the theme of the movie, which is that, hey, see these guys? See how you think that there's this narrative going on that you've seen before? You see how that you think there's meaning? Nope. We brought this guy in. He seems like kind of an interesting character.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do something with him. It's like, nope, he dies a horrible death.
and it also goes to show
Means
that
nothing.
Moss is smart not to make a deal with him, where he's like, I know that I'm better off on my own than trusting you.
Maybe
Right.
it's supposed to foreshadow Moss's death, because Carson Wells kind of is Moss. He's like, he also was in Nam. He's also a very competent killer. In fact, he's so
Yeah, fair.
competent that it's his job,
Yeah,
and
fair
yet
enough.
he gets killed by
Right.
Chigurh.
Yeah, good.
And it also gives us the the most competent person trying to negotiate for their life with Chigurh.
yeah.
Because everyone else that's like tried to negotiate is like kind of innocent bystanders, or in the case of Carla Jean, just like a person that doesn't really have the killer instinct. But we know Carson Wells is like in on this game. He's there, and he knows Chigurh at least a little bit, and so it's our one opportunity to see what it's like for someone almost on Chigurh's level to try and negotiate.
You know what I think it
Totally.
really is rather than thinking of it in terms of chaos and order, it's like the theme of the movie is the times they are a changing, and
See,
so
yeah.
no one is safe. No one is safe. Like, old cop's not safe. This jackass trying to get the money's not safe. And neither is even, it's just another aspect of the world that's not safe.
Yeah.
Not even people who are kind of like Chigurh are safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want to get into that times are a changing thing, but one more thing about Carson Wells, where I think that the purpose of him, I think, at that point in the movie is to hold up a mirror to Chigurh in a way that previous characters hadn't. Like, up till that point, Chigurh talks to, and this is such a great juxtaposition of this like southern kindness, where like the chicken farmer just stops and helps
Yeah,
him on the
I
side
love
of the road
him.
for no reason.
Aw.
He seems like a super nice
Yeah.
guy. There's literally no reason for Chigurh to kill him. He doesn't even need his. Well, I guess he was helping him fix his car. Like, he
And we
could've
don't
just
know
used
if
his
he
car.
killed him. Like, maybe he just
Yeah.
left him there, but he probably did kill
The
him.
juxtaposition between this kindness and this utter disregard, this primal just instinct of just nothing. I think that's a great. The characters up until Carson Wells had just been there to experience Chigurh's evil, but when Carson has this confrontation with him, he says, "Do you have any idea how crazy you are?" Like, he's there to have us see Chigurh kind of confront the idea that he's like, I am not normal. I am not just a regular person. I am a force. And yeah, I thought it was brilliant. And now to go back to the times are a changing theme, I thought it was really interesting because the whole time the whole movie you kind of think that's the theme, where it's like we are coming from an era where things were nice and now things have gotten better, and like there's two scenes where Sheriff Ed Tom Bell first meets with his buddy Sheriff, and he's like, 20 years ago, if you told me that you'd be seeing these people on the streets with like pink hair and piercings in their
Bone
nose,
in her nose.
bone in their nose, and like blah blah blah, yeah, I wouldn't believe you. And he's like, oh yeah, it's the
The rising tide.
rising tide. And so then he has a scene after that where he visits his uncle Ellis, who's in the wheelchair, and
Oh, that's his uncle.
yeah, apparently.
Okay.
I had to look that up. I didn't get that.
I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is this scene?
I
don't
thought
know.
it was like his brother or something because they were he was saying like Daddy did this or whatever, but when he said Daddy, he was talking about his grandpa, and he realized the story of I guess Ed Tom's grandpa. Or
Well, it was like in 1908 or something. the
yeah,
story
some
they're
old
talking
one
about, right?
one of their ancestors who was a sheriff and was gunned down on his front porch in 1909 by a gang of outlaws, and he's like, this thing you're going through ain't nothing new. It ain't waiting on you. That's vanity.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, great scene, and I love that actor too. And so that just, I mean, I think that really tells you that like this isn't a feature. This isn't anything new. All of this chaos. These are infinite, eternal concepts. The chaos and order. I just love them like appealing to the mythological in that sense.
Well, I love that. I mean, this movie had to be a neo-Western because, like, Westerns for generations or for decades at least were all about how the law was infringing on the freedom of the West. It was all about how like the era of the Wild West was coming to an end as civilization grew. And I love that this is the opposite. It's like as we move into this like new era, chaos reigns again.
That's
and it's
amazing.
like it's an internal chaos. It's totally different.
That's
than
really
it was.
cool.
Yeah.
Right. Because those old westerns, they depended on this kind of like black and white.
Yep.
The sheriffs versus the outlaws.
Totally. And it's about the law overcoming chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
it's actually just kind of chillingly real. Like it really hits home because it's like, why is it? What is it about modernity or civilization, the era of time that makes people today drive a car into a parade and kill? Like we've had cars forever.
Yeah.
We've had guns forever. Why mass shootings now? Why all these vehicular
Well,
mass
But I think
manslaughters
that's,
or
that's
murders
kind of the
now?
point that I was just saying is that I don't think it has anything to do with like things escalating over time. I think if anything, things have gotten better in terms of like the amount of suffering that is in the world.
Sure.
I think that the nature of the suffering's changed, so it's always
Yeah,
hard to measure
This
it.
is what I'm saying. 'Cause
Yeah.
in the movie, it's just like they're talking about these senseless murders, like
Right.
just killing people for no reason. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
why is that seeming to happen more now than before?
I think that, well,
It's like it's just like a fad. It's like someone did it, and now it's like, whoa, you can do that? You can just shoot up a
I
school?
think, man,
Crazy.
I think there's so much we could talk
Okay.
about where it's like
Who wants to do an old-fashioned murder suicide? That's old hat.
I think there's so much we could talk about here where it's like as conditions get better in human society, people feel the need to lash out or they like kind of feel these instinctual calls to.
Well, it's a lack of meaning.
well,
It's
that
Jordan
too.
Peterson 101.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, as as the lower parts of our pyramid needs are met,
Yeah.
and like there's obviously still hunger and stuff in the Western world, but it's a lot less
Yeah.
than it was 100 years ago, 200 years
Right.
ago, and so I think there's just a lot more mental space for people to contemplate their meaning, and our meaning has diminished so much as our Earth has gotten so filled with people that can amplify themselves to occupy so much more space.
Yeah. I think I like thinking about it just in terms of like the source of chaos and the source of violence, where in the old, in the very beginning of human's existence, the violence and chaos came from nature because like we were trying to not be killed by predators and all that, right? Like we just live in a dangerous world. You could be killed by an avalanche or something because we're just all out there doing dangerous things.
We live to 45.
And now the danger isn't from nature. We've tamed nature to a large extent, but now the danger is primarily in our inability to contain our, I don't know, our nature.
It's in the bugs
evil
in human
nature.
psychology that
Right.
just like they're just programmed in there.
Exactly.
And to the extent that now, if you want to be a force against that, well, a man would have to put his soul at hazard.
oh man, that's another
The
great.
theme
like-
stated at the beginning voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I felt about that. The fact that like the theme of this movie is so clear from the opening words. Like even the title is just like
Yeah.
no country for old men. Like this is no place for us.
Yeah,
like
but
it,
because
though.
that's so idiomatic, like you could really not know what that title means.
And I think
Because you have
after-
to be able to decode it into the way that they talk.
I guess so, but after the opening monologue, I'm like, I know exactly what this movie's about.
But I think though, like a lot of people watch it and they hear the opening monologue and they're like, "That's cool, whatever. Let's start the movie now."
Exactly.
And, like,
you glaze over because
yeah.
modern movie audiences are like, okay, wordy stuff,
Oh,
and then
sure.
okay, now a cool murder scene.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. Like the average person who's going to this thinking that it's a Western shootout and the Moss and Sugar will have a final confrontation, and there will be a moment where Sugar loses, and yeah, they're expecting that. Sure, those people, yeah, they gloss over the opening monologue.
And that's, by the way, I don't think I said this earlier, but Sugar cannot die. Did I say this? If Sugar did die, the whole theme, it's all
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
right?
It's like we can win.
No.
We can stop chaos.
The times they are a-changing.
But like you said, there's still those like filmmaker's voice coming through of like he's still a human and he's still vulnerable to fate
Right.
because he gets severely injured in an
Yeah.
accident.
His time will come just like everyone else's. I thought that just one more thing on the theme being set out right from the get-go, because I like that because the structure of the movie is also such that it's like a mystery, and it's like Ed Thomas, sort of the detective following behind these two guys, but we, the audience, are privy to absolutely everything that's happening. So like in a normal mystery story, we don't know what happened, and then over the course of the story, we're figuring it out and putting the pieces together, like in Knives Out or whatever, right? At the end of Knives Out, we figure out what happened, but up until then, we don't know. This one, we know absolutely everything.
Yeah.
As it's going, Moss goes, Sugar follows, Ed Tom follows them, and we just have this cutout, this like slice of time where we can see like all three stories at once. I thought it was really cool.
Let's talk about how this is Fargo.
Sure.
I forget exactly.
Minor spoilers for Fargo, maybe, but it's so crazy because it's like Fargo was an original screenplay. I think it won an Academy Award for that. This is winning an Academy Award for adapted screenplay. So it's not like they just wrote the same screenplay twice, really, because they had source material to work with here. But I don't know anything about the book, but you talked about it earlier, and it seems like they did. They Fargoized it.
Yeah, it's like exactly. This movie is a very straight adaptation. There's like a couple scenes that are different.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
there's a
I thought
scene.
you said that they reframed it such that the main character is kind of
That's the big thing. But in terms of like scenes and like themes presented, it's the same. It's just.
But that is a big thing
Yeah,
in
that's fair.
in the way of Cohenizing it, because the way that Fargo is different from other movies is that, again, you're asking this question, who is the protagonist?
Yeah.
You kind of think, well, it should be Marge, the cop,
I love her.
but she's gone for 25 minutes
yeah.
in the middle of the movie. That should never happen, and that's exactly what happens here. Like,
Yep.
is if Ed's the protagonist, like,
Where's he in the middle?
we're following Moss the whole
Yeah.
time.
That's a good
And
point.
it's really similar in that there's like a psychopath. It's the Stormer character in Fargo is just like an unreasonable. I mean, he has a partner in that one. Steve Buscemi is his partner
Yeah.
and the partner in crime. But it's the same thing. They're chasing money around. People are making mistakes. They're reckless. They're greedy.
Yeah, it's the greed of a man who.
It's basically
Looking for-
Fargo in summer.
I haven't seen Fargo in a long time. Like,
It's great.
I
We should
saw
do
it.
that too. I love Fargo.
It was on the poll,
It was.
but this one
It was close.
It was.
I knew those two would be close. Sorry, Blood Simple and
Yeah, well,
with
I've
Serious
never even
Man or
heard of
Burn
those.
After Reading. What else
Yeah.
did we put?
The Coen brothers managed to take these phenomena that I don't like in movies often, which is like there not being a clear arc for the characters. Well, okay, there are arcs for the characters, but not like sticking with that character, not really allowing us to map onto them in a way, and like having these sort of just like disorienting scenes, and they just do it in a way that I love.
You know how they do it is every scene is awesome. If the movie is playing on TV and you turn it on in the hotel room,
Yeah.
you would just sit down and watch because
Right.
every scene's
There's
captivating.
no filler. There's like every scene. Yeah, it demands your attention.
Well, maybe in this movie you might walk away because if you'd be like, oh, there's two old people talking, whatever. But
I have a couple nitpicks in this movie.
let's hear them.
The first one is, why doesn't Moss change the bag that the money's in?
Yeah, that pissed me off.
And it's like, there's kind of a few things around that annoy me. So we know he counted it because he knows there's $2 million. Did he not like feel the tracker when he was counting it? Like, okay, sure, whatever, maybe it wasn't enough. But like,
Wait, did he count it?
well, he knew there was $2 million. I don't think there was a note on the top being like $2 million
When
in
does
here.
he say $2 million?
Fairly close to the beginning. To Carla Jean.
In the
Oh.
screenplay, it's written as Moss puts his hand in the bag to either feel that it's all the way full with money or to get a sense of how much is in there.
Ah.
They leave
Yeah.
it. They leave it vague like that, even on the page.
That probably would have been better. But even just like, even if he didn't take it to count the money or to find the tracker, the fact that he keeps that like pretty like notable briefcase with that money is silly. Like, you have other bags, dude. Like, put it in another thing.
There are other bags in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And then the
that's
other
fine.
thing, I always forget when I watch this movie that there's like an actual tracker in the money. I always think that it should have been instead of a tracker, I don't know, it just bothers me. They should have just had like irradiated money or something, and he had a Geiger counter and could have
Yeah, I
tracked
thought
it.
that's what it was.
Because then it's
but-
like that would have beat the like just changing the bags or finding it. I don't know. I think that would have been a better thing. Trackers are lame.
I don't know. I don't think it bothered me. I did think it was like irradiated to begin with.
Yeah, and I thought it was a little
But
Geiger
then he
counter or something.
finds the tracker. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what it is.
Kind of along the same lines, I think Moss does not work hard enough to get far enough away. He does not. I don't get the sense that like he's really trying to escape anywhere. He's like kind of like on a little road trip.
He's never like driven all night.
Yeah, I'm like, you got $2
I
million.
don't know Texas though. I don't know how far El
but
Paso
like,
is.
yeah, if I had $2 million and there was drug dealers after me, I get picked up by a dude. I'll be like, here's $20,000 driving to Seattle right now. I'm not just like moving between Texas
He
towns.
doesn't want to go to Seattle. There's nothing for him there.
Yeah, I found like there's a couple times he stops for the night, and I'm like, nah, dude, you got to keep going. Like, if you took $2 million from the cartel, like you got to keep
Well, but
going.
David, then it wouldn't be a movie.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, I see what you're saying. If I was in that position, I'd get the hell out of there for
Yeah,
sure.
that's fair. It's like being like, this horror movie sucks because the people didn't stand back to back in a circle
Yeah.
with an axe, like all together.
Yeah,
like,
the
no,
people in
you're
this
right.
horror movie
you're
didn't react, didn't act perfectly
Yeah.
logically.
do you have any more nitpicks?
right.
Man, I don't think I have any nitpicks.
I had questions.
Okay.
Like, when Moss tells Carla Jean, like, if I don't come back, like, tell my mother I love her, and she's like, your mom's dead. And he's like, well, I guess I'll tell her myself. Like, what is, like, it's a good, clever, like, script line, but what's the point of that? Like, what is that line in the reality of those characters? Like, how
Did
does
he
that
just like
mean?
forget his mom was dead?
No, I
I
think
don't
he's
think
just
so.
he's trying to like joke with her and tell her like it's gonna be okay.
Okay.
I'm going to do a thing. I can't tell you about it. It's simultaneously an epic gravitas risky thing, but you shouldn't worry about it.
yeah,
Oh,
fair.
that's also why I thought that was weird, because in terms of the relationship or whatever, because he's indicating that he might die, and
Yeah.
she's just like, okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
well, it's been good.
Yeah.
She's kind of meek. She's a 20-something-year-old.
I guess so. I don't know.
And the other question is, why do you think Shiger killed those two dudes that were like there to explain or like help him get started on the chase?
Why not?
Maybe because he wanted the money for himself.
Maybe.
No, I don't think he cares about the money.
Well, he cares about it enough to be like, that's his job. That's why he's there.
Yeah, but I think
But he cares about things in addition to the money, his principles.
I think that maybe he killed those guys, but then like, yeah, his job. I guess he is like a hireable assassin, and then he ends up killing his employers. So that doesn't look good to his any future employers. But like, I don't know. I feel like he could maybe be like, they tried something or whatever.
Or maybe he's the type of person that's just like, he thinks that they are reprehensible or
I think you-
repugnant,
I
and
think
so
you-
he just kills whatever that doesn't meet his standard.
I think you guys are thinking about this in the wrong way. I don't think there's that much of a logic to those kind of killings. Like, I think when he encounters somebody and they're having, like, what are the other times where he actually spares somebody? He spares the guy in the gas station because he flips the coin, and then he honors that because that's actually his rule.
We don't know if he kills the bystander in the office building.
Oh yeah. When he
We don't know.
kills
That's true.
the
Well,
man,
he-
the
he's-
man who hires Wells is his
He
character.
says, "Are you gonna kill me?" And he's like, "Well, can you see me?" Which is
Right.
kind of like, does a bear shit in the woods? Yeah, I'm gonna kill you. But if the guy was like, "No, I can't see you," and
Yeah.
maybe he's so weird, and maybe that's
Yeah.
why he's terrifying. You don't know how he's gonna react.
Exactly. And I think that's why I said earlier there is a logic to him, but there's also the greater logic to what he does is that he is chaos, and that in that scenario with the two suited guys, he just killed them because he just wanted to kill
Just
people.
wanted to kill.
Yeah, why not?
Can we talk about how sweet 2007 was?
Yeah, sure.
This movie came out the same year as Zodiac, which is
Whoa.
so sweet, underrated. No one talks about this movie. We have to cover it at some
Yeah,
point.
no,
Absolutely.
we should do it.
And it was battling at the Oscars with There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
One of my
man.
all-time favorites that we must cover.
What a year.
Yeah, I think
must
Daniel
cover it.
Day-Lewis got Best Actors for that, but this movie got everything else. It got
Good.
Director,
I
Best
drink it up.
Picture.
I much prefer No Country to There Will Be Blood.
I saw a Reddit thread that was basically a poll of like which one's better, and it's pretty
definitely-
split.
Yeah, there's definitely reasons why both are excellent movies, and like my main thing is I just don't think I like Daniel Day-Lewis that much. I feel like he's like
That's fair.
Zachary Quinto Spock, where I'm just like, I see you acting.
Who's that?
It's like new Spock, young Spock.
Yeah.
I
it's
see
like-
you acting.
Yeah, it's like
No,
him
totally.
versus the Leonard Nimoy, where Leonard Nimoy just is Spock. Daniel Day-Lewis, like, I feel like
He's the
90
opposite. That's
no,
why we
no,
like
no, no,
him.
no, no. Not 90% of it is the stories you're told about how committed
Yes.
he is.
No.
And I see Daniel Day-Lewis acting so hard at all of
okay,
his movies.
I will say that I think that for you particularly, because you paid a lot of attention to this kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and you read the articles about how he
Yeah,
prepared
yeah,
to
yeah.
play the character, whatever. But like, I definitely feel that too. Like when I see Daniel Day-Lewis acting in anything, I'm
Yeah.
just like, there's acclaimed method actor Daniel
it's-
Day-Lewis.
acting so hard, it's like it's gonna work for some people, some other people. Like I really don't like Leo DiCaprio. I see the same six faces. I'm like, he's on the same
It
level as
sounds
like
like
Adam.
you hate Gangs of New York.
Oh, I hate Gangs of New York. It sucks.
It sucks. but let's not get this hijacked. I want to
fair
cover
enough.
both those 2007
Yeah, please
movies.
do.
They're awesome.
Yep.
I fucking love that movie. Fuck you, David.
It's pretty good. It's a good movie. It's
We're
a good
gonna
movie.
get it.
Oh wait, I do have a nitpick.
Oh,
Please.
When Ed Tom returns to the hotel, because he has that conversation with the sheriff buddy, and the sheriff buddy's like, he just like walked right back into the crime scene. Like, who does that? And that gives him the idea to go back to the crime scene. So he returns to the motel, and the lock is bolted out of the door
Yep.
or whatever, and he can see through a reflection that Shigur's in there.
oh yeah, that's great.
And
Wait,
then
does he see in the reflection?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I
and
missed
Shigur,
that.
And Shigur sees him in the reflection.
Yeah, I love that shot of him
But
just
then-
like against the
But
door.
then he opens the door, and he's not in there.
See,
So what happened?
I missed.
This is less of a nitpick of me just
Yeah.
being confused.
I always interpreted it as the shadow of Shigur is in that room, and that like
Sorry?
the shadow of Shigur.
What does that mean?
That like Shigur isn't necessarily
The
there.
spirits.
It's more that for Belle, there's like the possibility, like
Okay.
he's there because like he was there, and he doesn't really know if he's there.
Wait.
Okay, this is
Wait.
interesting. I like that.
Wait, doesn't Bell? Does he just open the door? Or does he enter the room?
He enters the room.
He enters
goes
the
in
room,
there,
he walks
checks the
through.
I think
bathroom.
they're in adjacent hotel rooms.
No, but why do they see each other in the reflection then?
Maybe they don't.
They do.
They're both looking at.
feel like
They're
it's
both
pretty-
looking
I
at
think-
doorknobs.
No, but I like David's interpretation
Yeah.
here. That like the Shigur that we saw in that room isn't the real Shigur. Like that's like Ed Tom Bell kind of like envisioning him in there.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't actually.
What? If that's true,
There's
then
a
that
trick
would
of the
be the
light.
first. That would be the first unreliable narrator kind of moment. Because there's no like, it's not like a vignette. There's nothing to indicate to the audience that that's not just real.
Well,
I think
don't-
just
I
the
don't see
lighting
another
is
explanation
the lighting
for
is
it.
so strange in it. Like it's the most pure horror lighting, where it's like this half face uplit.
Yeah.
Like nothing else in the movie is lit that way, and it's almost pure darkness. And there's like one other shot that's just as dark, but like it's different in terms of feeling and lighting than the rest. And I don't know. Like
No, I'm totally
I
there
guess
with you.
I'm reaching for that explanation because I don't like the idea that like he was actually there and he had to like scurry through the window. And,
I
like,
just thought they were in adjacent hotel
maybe.
rooms.
I feel like if they were in adjacent hotel rooms, then.
How would he see the reflection?
Yeah, the reflection to me, it
And also,
didn't
why
look
would
that.
why would he be in a different room when that's the one that was the crime scene?
Well, they're both. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe he's checking out the other room.
Yeah, 'cause
that
he-
Sugar never visited Moss's second room.
I wouldn't call it an unreliable narrator as much as I would a glimpse into Bell's psyche, where he just like we see for a second what he's imagining on the other side.
This is gonna be one of those movie moments where all the comments are gonna be like, "You guys are all wrong. This is what happened."
This is
And we're all
exactly
gonna be
what
like, "Oh, we're dumb."
yeah, there's a shot
Totally.
that shows Sugar skittering out. I want to hear the Coen brothers like answer that question.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
want to
cool.
know what their intention was in that scene.
Gotta say, if I was to like cast my perfect movie, it would have Javier Bardem in it for sure.
Oh,
Just
really?
love him
and it would be
Because-
directed by
because,
Denis Villeneuve.
Yep.
But
And it
have
would be
you-
Dune.
Have
Pretty
you,
much.
Have you seen Mother? Exclamation mark.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So-
Is that Aronofsky?
yeah.
He's not perfect in everything.
It's not his
what,
fault
he
though.
brought that movie down. I doubt that.
No.
No, you're right. You're right. It wasn't him. He was good. Okay, one more thing. One more thing that I loved. Ellis on Revenge. Uncle Ellis, when he's like, "What do you think what you would have done if the guy that because he's in a wheelchair because he got shot?" And he's like, "What would you have done if the guy that shot you got out of jail? Would you kill him or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't think so." And he's like, "Oh, that surprises me." And Ellis says, "Oh well, all the time you spend trying to get back what's been took from you, and more's going out the door."
Yeah, amazing.
And I was
Great
like,
line.
I love when people just deliver wisdom very concisely and totally in idiom.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just That's actually what the South people like use Southern accents to sound dumb a lot, but like their language
Yeah.
dialect is so rich with idiom that's just amazing.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
fair.
it's so funny how that's been sort of like it's been associated with the lack of intellect when like the way that Ed Beltom to me the way that he speaks to me just like smacks of intelligence. What is it Torbert said about truth and justice? We dedicate ourselves daily anew. Might have to dedicate myself twice or three times at the end of this.
It's so good.
So good.
And the world building, like at the beginning voiceover, when he's just talking about, Jim so and so, the younger Jim, and he just carries on with that story. It's like, okay, we know it's a small town,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everyone knows each other. You just
Yeah.
it's so like data rich
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
so few words.
Oh man.
I love the Coen brothers. They're great. This is my third favorite Coen brothers movie.
What are your other ones? Lebowski and Fargo.
Yep.
All right.
Had to get some more rating in here.
Yeah. I can go all the way down. Martin Fink, of Brothers, but it's simple inside Llewyn
Oh
Davis.
my
True Grit, Miller's
God.
Crossing, Burn After Reading, Ballad After Scruggs, Prisoner, Arizona.
Llewyn Davis is that
Hail.
low?
It's not that low. It's like halfway.
Because I haven't seen it, and I was
It's
like,
very
I
good.
have to check it out.
But I mean, like, all the way to Burn After Reading, everything above that is very good. Burn After Reading is good. Ballad of After Scruggs is okay. Reason Arizona is okay. And Hail Caesar sucks.
Do you think
It
Hail Caesar was weird? I didn't
sucks.
love it.
I really don't like it.
Would you say Ballad of Buster Scruggs is worth watching?
I turned it off, and I'm like into them.
Really?
Okay, it has like singing and ballads and
Yeah.
stuff in it. My
It's-
wife was like, "Shut this
Okay,
off."
Yeah.
I'm
It's-
into that though. Oh brother,
it's-
where art thou?
I'd like
no,
to see
no.
it.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou is way better. Ballad of Buster Scruggs is a bunch of different stories, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. Overall, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
All
I
right,
wouldn't.
don't
I
think
wouldn't
I'll-
recommend
I don't
it.
think I'm gonna watch it then.
Raising, I watched a couple Coen Brothers movies, or I tried to, in preparation for that. I started with Barton Fink, fell asleep before
I
anything
love
really
Barton Fink.
happened. I heard that,
It's really good.
and the ratings are great.
And it's about a writer, so you'd like it. You gotta,
don't
you
know.
gotta give it another go.
And then Raising Arizona was like, this
Nah.
movie's trying to be funny, but I'm not
fun.
laughing. Like it just didn't age well.
Yeah.
It's got Nicolas Cage.
I feel like that. What year was that?
92 or something like
Yeah.
that.
I
Pretty
feel
early.
like that is like early enough into their career that I'm just gonna be like, nope.
Blood Simple's their first movie, and it's very good. It's still
Raising
holds up.
Arizona is like their third or fourth movie or
Yeah.
something. So
No, it's second, I think.
there's Blood Simple and there's
And they made a lot
Crime
of
Wave.
movies.
Oh, I haven't seen Crime
They're
Wave then.
prolific.
I got one of their movies that was so old that it's like I couldn't continue watching it just because the playback. There was like static and shit, like it was like a recorded VHS. It was bad.
So wait, you got the ratings, David. Are they getting worse or better over time? Uh-oh.
It's a
No,
Problem.
it's going every direction. I think they haven't had a really fucking good movie for a little bit.
Oh, but you have to consider that they're writers and directors, so they wrote Bridge of
true.
Spies, and
That's fair.
that won some Oscars, and that was a good movie.
Bridge of Spies.
Yeah, they got best
Tom
directing.
Hanks?
Yeah, and best supporting actor.
I don't think I saw that one.
That was a year I think that Christian Bale didn't get an Oscar, and I was pissed. And that's how I know that guy won
Wait,
best supporting actor.
has he ever gotten an Oscar?
Christian Bale, yeah, he got it for The Fighter.
Oh yeah, he
Oh.
deserved that one. That one's sick.
Wait, did he get it for The Fighter?
Yeah, I think so.
That
I
was
remember.
definitely the year he deserved it.
Yeah, The Fighter. He freaking earned it.
Well,
What are we doing
is
next
that the
week?
end? Yeah.
Can we go home? Yeah.
What are we doing next
I
week?
don't know what we're doing next week. I don't think
Oh,
it's
wait.
going to be Mortal Kombat with Linus
No.
because it's a short week next week because we're taking a day off.
We're
for
not doing
Veterans Day.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, I think that's maybe too soon. Maybe we'll do Dark Knight. I don't know.
That's too soon.
It's never too soon for Dark Knight.
Another horror?
People have
It's too
asked me-
soon to have Sarah back on, unfortunately. She works in another department, and we're only
Oh.
allowed to get her like every 5-6 weeks.
You guys can't have her.
Well, she got another job to do.
Classic.
We'll think of something good.
Okay, well, we'll let you know.
See you later.
Love you.
Shout out to Teresa Mir. What's up? Are you trying to start a new podcast? Well, Anchor is the easiest way to do that. All you do is record your podcast and upload it to Anchor for free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And then Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else people listen to these things. You can make money from your podcast right away with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Hi, everybody in podcast land and also on YouTube. The day has come. Every decision I've made in my life has culminated in this moment. I get to finally.
Find out if you're a replicant.
Oh God.
Do your eyes
Try to
glow?
look up to the left. They don't glow.
Interlinked.
Oh,
Cells.
uh,
One stem, etc.
I'm way off baseline.
Yeah, dude.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited.
This is I think it's got to be in my top 3 movies ever. I love
Really?
this movie. I love it.
Jokes. Write jokes, but then I feel like once you get in, you can be a joke person in the sitcom world. But then inevitably you're going to get asked for ideas anyway. Like if you
and
stick
then you
around,
go,
I ain't
"Sorry,
got none.
I don't have any. I mean, because when you say, like, where do you get an idea? That's so close to asking someone, how does anyone do anything?
Right.
Like, it's like, I mean, you just sit there and then something snaps in your brain and you have an idea.
Yes.
Well, I don't know why. Any more than like, I remember being blown away in a college class when the professor said, "That voice in your head, where does it come from? The one that tells you stuff. Who is that talking? Is that you?
Yes.
Or is that something deeper that you're channeling?" And it's like, wow. Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
Wait a minute. Now, you don't think it's something deeper that you're channeling, do you? It's your inner voice.
know.
It's your brain. It's gotta be.
I guess,
What
but
else could it be?
why is your brain doing that? Why is your brain telling you stuff?
Sabotaging
Why is your
you
brain
daily.
making horrible puns?
Yeah.
I
you know,
know.
24/7.
Witzelsucht syndrome.
But I
Look
mean,
it up.
to me, it's a step away from insanity to ask where you get your ideas, because it's where
Right.
why
Yeah,
do we
it's like
walk
it's
on
like
two
where
legs?
do you? Yeah,
I
why
don't
do you
know.
have thoughts?
Yeah, what does the
basically.
thyroid do?
Well, that I don't know.
Me
How about
either.
when do you get ideas?
So the thing
Yeah.
is like I think most people don't actually listen to their brain and they think they don't have ideas. Like I think everyone is thinking stuff and they maybe don't categorize it as usable when it could easily be usable. It's
That's a
like
good
how
point.
I play guitar, hours a day, and I still can't really recognize a G note from an E from a C, and I constantly have to reorient myself every time I sit down to play the instrument.
Right.
There's something that's not quite clicking. Like I'm guessing someone like Stu, the information lives in a way
Yeah.
when they think the computer is asleep. It's existing, whereas I don't know, I'm not accessing it. And so I always find when I don't think I have ideas, it's more just a matter of like calming everything down and clearing out information and listening and observing my thoughts a little bit and saying like, well, that's not quite true. I don't have ideas. I have things that I instantly categorize as unusable and I'm shooting them down.
Right.
I'm aborting them, if you will,
Ooh.
in utero, en masse. I'm committing mass genocide.
No.
Yeah.
No.
To make a beautiful analogy. And I think I think the first advice I would give to someone is maybe give yourself a time, like an hour or two a day for a week, where you just kind of like listen to your thoughts and see what's going on. What's going on with you?
That's such good. That's what's going on with you? What's going on? what's going on in there? I'm surprised your dog isn't scratching at the door after that
He
tone
hates
of
me.
voice. That's right. We've
Everyone's
established
ridden
that.
me off yet again.
No, but that's funny. But your advice is great, and particularly if I had been someone who wanted to get into writing, and I heard you say that, I would love that, because that just involves you just sitting there. I'm sure I wouldn't be able to even do it for 2 hours. I think it's actually very hard to listen to your own thoughts for
The
2 hours.
struggle's part of it.
The struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get out there with a busted ankle and just nail that ball. But no, I know what you
No
mean.
reason for free for a
For-
bunch of people
for
who are
glory.
ready to hate you
A
the second
lifetime.
you didn't do exactly what they wanted. In spite of all your past achievements, they give you nothing in the bank, and then the second you violate their expectations of you in that moment, Fuck you! Okay, great system. Well, now I want to do it for those people.
I don't like the system, but I like the glory. Like you like telling me that you don't remember Michael Johnson shedding the single tear after kicking so much ass in
I
the
love
Atlanta
Michael
Olympics.
Johnson.
Yeah, see? Well, then what are you doing? You love the Olympics. You love the Olympic spirit. Just admit it.
Norm Macdonald had the best ever joke about Michael Johnson. Do you remember that?
No. What did he
goes,
say?
Michael Johnson, he had gold shoes. He said he was running around the track with gold shoes. But imagine if he hadn't won. And then people were like, "Hey, Michael, nice gold shoes." And he'd be like, "Oh, these are yellow."
That's an oddly constructed joke for
It's
Noah.
so-
I love
It's
that.
such a good joke.
He's so funny.
It's because it's just a series of jabs from directions you're not expecting.
He is so funny.
But that
God.
points to observation.
Yes.
That's like a meticulously observed thing of this
He's-
nuance of literally a nuance, a shade of color
right.
being the core of this idea of that, like, people would shame you for your shoes and that how you would get out of it in the event of that shaming with this kind of bizarre step back.
Yeah, well, I bet he certainly seems like someone who listens to his own thoughts. He looks like it sounds like he has conversations with himself.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like what his stand-up is.
It looks as though he's been driven insane by himself.
I know, but a lot of the great ones get that way. He's
Of course.
one of the funniest of all time, and maybe the best talk show guest of all time. Like he's up there. He's on the Rushmore of all time
Yeah.
talk show.
I mean,
guests.
in that last Letterman where he just cried,
Oh,
too. Of
we
course I
talked
could
about
relate
this
to
on
that.
here.
Yeah.
We talked about that on here.
Incredible.
That was great.
But let me I'm gonna bring us back a little bit.
Okay.
Because what you'll find mostly is if you say you don't have an idea, you should just look at whatever your situation is, because the most compelling thing you can say in a pitch meeting when you're selling something that I found that will sell the thing in most cases is if you say, "This happened to me."
yes.
Or "This is me." Like my last show, United We Fall, was my wife is half Mexican and has 8 older brothers who are all in various degrees of not getting along at any given moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And that the second, like, proprietary thing was that we very much are in violent agreement most of the time, but we still can't get anything done. And so then I went into the pitch meeting and talked about, like, we're two smart people, Ivy League educated, we've both been employed, we live in a house, we've seemingly taken care of everything you're supposed to as an American, and then we have these 2 kids and we can't get them out the door in the morning. For some reason,
Yeah.
we cannot get 2 children to school on time. It's impossible. I don't know what happened. And then it was digging into the minutia of that and sort of peeling it away. But it's not, and look, the thing got canceled, so you go, that wasn't an idea, you were wrong.
Yeah, but it
And-
really shouldn't have been canceled. We got into that in another episode.
will
It was
say-
canceled due to factors that
Yeah.
had nothing to do with the show itself.
I'll also say that the idea was so compelling, 4 networks bid on it, and one ended up paying $1 million, not to me, for the privilege of being the one to own it.
Wow.
So it was the simplicity of the idea, though, which, because you're pitching to people in general who have kids. No
Yes.
one feels like they can get their kids out the door. Like,
No,
no
that's
one is
so
like,
relatable.
I've got this
Yeah.
on lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. And so they're all going, I'm a quarter way through the pitch, and now instead of pitching, they're talking to me going, "Oh my God, me and my husband, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting back
Yeah.
going, I'm about to
Sold.
make so
Yeah.
much
Sold.
fucking money.
Writing itself.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're eating it up.
I'm like that boat I was looking at 2 years ago that I thought I could never own. I'm gonna own it. And then they're like, "We'll do it." And I'm like, "What?" Sorry, I was thinking about a boat. And then
The
I
boat you're
blew
gonna
it,
buy
and
me.
now I'm so far from the boat.
Oh, maybe a dinghy. A dinghy.
But I'll say, like, look to your circumstances, because what there's some aspect of your circumstances that people can relate to, and sometimes it's just, I'm a young person who it's this failure to launch thing. Like, I'm 34 and it isn't coming together for me. And then someone,
Yeah.
the person you're pitching to will be like, oh my God, we didn't meet till we were 39. And then I always felt like it wasn't going to happen. I
Yeah.
had roommates till I was
I like that.
37.
Let's call it late bloomers. We can
Oh.
pitch
Sure.
that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, but I'm saying you do have an idea. You just think it's not an idea because it's your reality and it's weighing on you.
Yes, totally true. And that, I mean, certainly the thesis statement of that last portion was just like that thing you just said. This happened to me,
Yes.
or this is me. Like,
And
you're-
lie. Lie.
Right.
If it didn't happen to you, say it happened to you. There is no ombudsman who's going to come in and burst into the meeting and
Or
say that person
ombudswoman.
is a liar. It did not happen that way. And so I.
Oh, great
you know,
and wise ombudsman.
like when I did Making History, it's a time travel show, so I can't go, I've traveled in time, whatever. And I use certain elements, like I'm from Lexington, Massachusetts. The show
Yeah.
takes place in Lexington, Massachusetts. But, I found certain ways of saying things. And I stretched the truth a little bit, but I think that I started that pitch by saying, I've spent the majority of my life staring out a window, waiting for someone to tell me I could leave.
Right.
Like whether it was school or work.
Right. Or home.
Or home. I just have never enjoyed 1 second of anything I'm doing. And I'm at the whim of someone else's rules. But what if you were the one to make the rules, right?
There you go.
So that's not, that's not such a stretch, but you've just got to
That's a good
find
pitch.
the real reality of your situation, which is like, even if you didn't feel that way, that you could say you felt that way, right? And
Yeah.
everyone feels that way to a certain extent. So it's like, in a way, even though that was a spectacular, I don't mean in quality, but spectacular, I mean in kind of far out idea. The truth of it, the thing that sold it wasn't time travel. No one cared about that. The thing that sold it was sitting there thinking your life could be different.